Okay, we're back, and let me just show you. We've got some activity. It took a little longer. Uh, I think it might be my internet connectivity as well. But as you can see, let's do this again. Let's get the PV. We now have our Nginx PVC, okay? Uh, well, our persistent volume, but linked to this PVC. So now let's take a look at the PVC, and we can see it's bound. So there it is, it's bound, okay? Let's go back here. Um, This claims is still working, but we now see some activity, as you can see. And if I go here, let's take a look. Nothing here, no errors yet. That's good, but that's not so important. The important thing is we actually see this now appearing, the persistent volume claim and the persistent volume. It's bound, okay, it's bound, and the storage class is OpenEBS ZFSPV. So the speed of the restores depends on a lot of factors. Your internet, my connection to my lab on a Sunday when I thought everyone was sleeping, all sorts of things. Could be maintenance in the lab. I know I've talked to my boss. Maybe he got up and decided to redo the lab. That happens a couple of times. And he thinks I sleep in. Okay, now just to compare the original, let's just go back to the original here. This is the original cluster that this deployment came from. Let's check out the PVC in this cluster. So Nginx, and you can see it's the same name, right? Nginx or Nginx PVC claim 1, okay? It's bound as well, obviously, because that's the original one. But notice the difference. Storage class, CSI host path storage class, or for SC for short. And this one here is OpenEBS ZFSPV, okay? So that transform has worked, okay? It's worked, and it's part of a transform set. Okay, so now the question is, what's happening with the other? So this is interesting. I said, I've never actually watched this. Got better things to do with my time. Now, the thing is that what I expect to happen, or maybe I could be wrong, is that this will come up saying that there's zero. Well, wait a minute. How can there be any pods here if I've scaled to zero? This is good. This is good training for the exam. So let's do this. Let's get deployments in the Nginx. So there it is. So this is what happens on a Sunday morning when you've got a stuffed up nose. It affects the way your brain works. The explanation is simple. The transforms have worked. Okay? Why? Okay, well, take a look. First of all, we see that our storage class now is OpenEBS ZFSPV, whereas here it was CSI host path SC. Okay, that's the first transform. As for the second transform, which is scaling the replicas to zero, well, let's see what we had over here. Get deploy and Nginx. Okay, and we have 1 out of 1. Okay, ready, working. Whereas here we have 0. Okay, what is it, broken? Is it? No, I scaled it to 0. Okay, now, oh, and look, our job completed while I was talking. That always happens, you know. I go off and talk and all the action takes place. That happened actually once during a World Cup of soccer. I'm not joking. Like a big goal was scored because I was talking to somebody about something. It's like, no, I missed it. Anyways, actually, it wasn't the final World Cup. I think it was when Germany beat like Brazil like 8-1 or something. So there were a lot of goals. So I only missed one. Hopefully, no Brazil fans attack me. I mean, after that, 2014, Germany's like lost every single World Cup really badly. So there you go. Enough talk about soccer. So our restore completed. Okay, so there it is. It's all there. And again, you can go into the action section. Let's look at the action section, right? Action section. And in here, if you look, you will see there should be at least, yes, transform. See, there's transforms. Okay, and there's other stuff in here. Of course, it's YAML, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, those transforms worked. And let me just take a look. Okay, so this is great. What is this? This is like a DR situation, okay? So my deployment's there, but it's not consuming any resources, 0 out of 0. So what do? Okay, well, basically, if you have a constant import job, right, which is importing backups and restoring them, but scaling them to 0, that's pretty much replication when you think about it. So what do I mean? I mean, in this original cluster, what I would do, okay, well, I wouldn't do anything, leave it what it was, and it's a backup policy, but I would play with the times, right? So how often it backs up. Every hour, every 2 hours, whatever. So that's just backing up as usual to S3. Nothing, extremely complicated there. The difference would be that this import policy, okay, the one that I've got here, which I used just to demonstrate, I would change this, okay, I've got it as import on demand for this test. But what I would do in a DR situation is that I would actually make this a scheduled job. Okay. The only thing I'd have to do is at first I have to tweak to make certain that the other job finishes first. I mean, it doesn't really have to. We just get the restore point before that, I assume. But obviously, if you've got like 10 terabytes of data, you've got to let that get up before you can bring it down here. So you would have to plan that accordingly, depending on your network speed and whatnot. But I could theoretically every hour, or I could do it if I put it every hour. You can actually do it more than that. You can go to advanced frequency options, and then you go down to like the minutes level, right? So that you can go like every 15 minutes. I think that's what Kasten says will definitely work. Again, there's a lot of extra factors here. Your speed of your backups, the speed of your network, keep that in mind. But what this will essentially do, if I also put restore after import, okay, it will import. So go back, make this not complicated. I'm doing backups on the other cluster. Okay, they're happening, let's say, every hour. Let's say on the hour. And then let's say at the 30-minute mark of every hour, so if I do a backup at 1:30, I do an import job on my DR cluster. Okay, so it imports that restore point. Great. But on top of that, I can do an automatic restore. Okay, so restore, so it'll be restored as that application was on the other cluster, on the production cluster, 30 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, I think. You can test to see how fast, you can get it to work. But on top of that, I can apply the transforms as we saw, okay? And now, would have been in the past, I would have to add this every time. What if I have 100 workloads? That's not much fun. But if I have 100 workloads and I've set up the transforms in a transform set, guess what? All I have to do is add a reference. There it is, boom. And what will happen is that this will run every hour. It'll do exactly what I showed you in my manual restore. It will change the storage class name, okay? And it will set the replicas to 0, which is essential. It means that you're not running a second production cluster. No, it's there, it's ready to go, and I'll turn mine on in a second, show you how simple that is. It can also be scripted too. If you have a lot of them, you don't want to go and type K scale deployment on every single one. You could have a script that just brings them all up. But that's essentially what it is. Now, you could have other transforms. These are just two easy peasy lemon squeezy transforms, as they say in kindergarten. But you could have a lot of other more complicated transforms. This is where really your developers or your application specialists would home in on the needs or whatever you want to manipulate with your application. So you're not limited to just those two transforms. There's transform a lot of things, okay? But this allows you to save those transforms in TransformSets, making it very simple and speeding things up, okay? So we've done that, great. So now let's go and scale up our deployment. So again, let's check, it's still there. Yep, hasn't gone anywhere. So now we're going to turn it on. Let's say there's been a disaster. Let's just let's scale this one down to 0 just for fun. So scale deploy. I'll do the opposite, right, of what I'm doing on the other side. Scale deploy Nginx. Nginx is the deployment name, and replicas equals 0. Okay. So what's going to happen now? We're going to see that boom. Okay. Oh my goodness, production's down. What do we do? Ghostbusters. Okay, we just scale. Scale. We're gonna on the other end. This is what we do if we had a disaster. We're gonna scale the deployment and Nginx, and we're gonna do replicas. Well, we'll do 1 in my case. Equals 1. Okay. Oops. What did I do? I did something dumb. Scale deploy and then Nginx replicas. Oh, I didn't put deployment name. It's saying, Jeff, what do you want me to scale? That's what happens when you use the same namespace name and deployment name. You can get confused. Okay, and now let's go back and see what we have. Boom, just like that, it's up and running. How long did that take? It took no time. It was up in 2 seconds. It's up and running, okay? The other one's down. So there you go. Simple as that. So again, if you have a lot of applications, then what you could do, obviously, is simply have a script to scale them all at once, right? But if you have one, you can do one. That's simple. Okay, this was a big day today, like 2 shows because of this, because of my internet connection and my nose. It's making my brain fuzzy. You know when you have a stuffed up nose, everything, your thinking becomes kind of fuzzy. That was a story of my high school exams. I'm not joking. I had really bad hay fever back then. It kind of went away. And it was May, we'd have the exams, and I'd always be hit by this stuff. So I had a choice to take back in the day, they had the anti-allergy stuff, which would basically, that would just turn. I mean, you go to the exam like a zombie and sit there and fail, Or you would do I would call the acrobatics of your nose, because like if you brought your handkerchief, you great. But I had a few times where I forgot my handkerchief. And this was a written exam with a pen. This is before the days of the laptop. See, I don't want to go into it was really it was difficult. All right, on that horrible note, I just want to remind people how difficult it is to think sometimes when your nose is stuffed up, right? All right, on that great note, I will call it a day for today. That was a big effort. Thank you very much, and go check out Kasten Transform Sets. Bye bye.